Hi, hello everyone, my dear friends. Today's topic is very interesting and it is the terms which are used in neurology. Welcome to my YouTube channel Logic Medico. If you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to my channel and press the like button at the end of the video. Watch the full video to understand all the terms used in neurology. So it is important to understand each of these terms before you start studying in detail. Firstly, what is neurology? It is a branch of medicine that deals with the structure, that is anatomy, how the shape, size, sulci, gyri, elevations, depressions. Gyri means elevations, sulci means depressions. So it deals with the structure, functions and organic disorders of nerve and nervous system. Function means how the nerve impulse or the action potential, the electrical energy goes from one area to another area. And what are the disorders with respect to this? The localizable disorders, they are called organic disorders. So overall the entire thing is together called as a system called as nervous system. So what is this nervous system? Basically it is defined by the presence of a specialized type of cell called as neuron or the nerve cell. So neuron or the nerve cell is a specialized cell. It is specialized in number of ways, not even in its appearance but also the way it communicates. So how it communicates with the neighboring cells is by electrical or a chemical impulse which passes through the junctions called as synapse. So that is how the neuron is unique. So we'll see the details of that in the subsequent slides. So coming to the nervous system is basically classified into two varieties, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. That part of the nervous system which is there in the center of your body, which is the brain and the spinal cord, is called central nervous system. Mostly it controls all the functions of the body and the mind. So it includes two parts already mentioned, brain and spinal cord. So brain is the center for our thoughts, the interpreter of our external environment and the origin of control over body movements. If you feel like getting up and walking from this place, you will walk. Okay. If you feel like thirsty, you will drink water. So that's how the brain controls the remaining part of the body. That's just an example. Peripheral nervous system on the other hand are not present in the where the brain and spinal cord are present, that is within the cranial cavity and within the vertebral column. They're just outside that. So that part of the nervous system which is outside the brain and spinal cord is termed as peripheral nervous system, and that includes two components, the nerve and ganglion. So these nerve and ganglion are of various types. We'll see what are the nerves and ganglion. So in peripheral nervous system there are so many peripheral nerves. First of all, the cranial nerves. There are 12 pair of cranial nerves. There is a separate video on cranial nerves, you can see that. And there are 31 pair of spinal nerves. So how to remember there are 31 pair of spinal nerves? After 12, what is the next number? 13. So if you write accidentally 13 in reverse fashion, it will become 31. So it's easy to remember. There are 31 pair of spinal nerves. So another part of the peripheral nervous system is autonomic nervous system. Autonomic means it works automatically. When you eat food, afterwards the digestion, absorption, peristalsis and all happens by itself. Your breathing, that is also happening by itself, right? So all these are, the heart is pumping the blood, that is also happening automatically. So this automatic in English is, in Latin is called as autonomic nervous system. There are two components in that. Sympathetic nervous system, this is the nervous system of emergency. So whenever you are under stress, strain, fear, fright, flight, fight, that time this nervous system gets activated. The major neurotransmitter on this is norepinephrine and epinephrine, also called as adrenaline and noradrenaline. The other nervous system is parasympathetic nervous system. This is nerve of calmness. So when are you calm in 24 hours time? During sleep. So that time parasympathetic nervous system is hyperactive during sleep. It helps in rejuvenation of the body structures, the muscles, the skin, all the tissues in fact. Okay. So parasympathetic nervous system is a nervous system of calmness. So neurotransmitter of this nervous system is acetylcholine. Okay. Let's see the various other terms. So the cells in the nervous system are two types, the neurons and the neuroglia. So neuron is a nerve cell that is a basic building block of the nervous system. So it is a structural and functional unit of a nervous system. It is a highly specialized cell so that it communicates with the adjoining neurons by a junctions called as synapse, either through chemical impulse or by electrical impulse. Next, neuroglia, these are the supporting cells which support the neurons. So if you put on a switch for a fan, only fan should on, not the light, right? So like that, neuroglia supports and separates one group of neuron from the other. It acts by insulating them. And there are various types of glial cells, most abundant in central nervous system. Their examples are oligodendrocytes, astrocytes, ependymal cell, Schwann cells, microglia, satellite cells. Okay, all this you can see in subsequent videos, but for time being we are just understanding the difference. Neurons and neuroglia. Neurons are the structural and functional unit. The supporting, this will have electrical activity, neurons. The supporting cells are called as neuroglia. They form myelination, they nourish the neurons, they support them, they insulate them, they form the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so the parts of the neuron, basically you have to understand there are three parts of the neuron. The largest portion of the neuron is called the cell body or the soma, in which the nucleus and the cell organelles will be present. A smaller cytoplasmic projection which appears like a thorn-like projection is called as dendrite. Dendrite basically receives the nerve impulse towards the cell body, whereas the long cytoplasmic process which goes really far away from the cell body, it will be usually single in number. It's called as axon. Usually axon is surrounded by sheath called as myelin sheath. It's formed by Schwann cell. So there are many dendrites, there is only one axon and there is one cell body. Okay, these are the parts of the neuron. If you understand the parts of the neuron correctly, now you should be able to understand what is the difference between a nuclei and a ganglia. The collection of the neuronal cell body deep within the CNS is called as nuclei, also called nucleus. Whereas the collection of the same neuronal cell body outside the CNS will be termed as ganglia. So there are various examples, you will understand that later. So these are the nucleus. In the brain there is thalamus, hypothalamus, basal nuclei, cerebellar nuclei, like this. These are all the centers for information to come and leave. So these, the cell bodies are present over there. That's what you have to understand. In the brainstem also there are nuclei. Throughout the spinal cord there are ventral and dorsal gray horn. All those are nuclei. This is for pictorial representation. Only one area is shown. So all these which are present within the CNS is called as nuclei. Whereas you can see this neuron like olfactory bipolar neurons or the spiral ganglion neuron, organ of Corti or the organ of hearing over there, taste receptor neurons, and the neurons dorsal root ganglia or the spinal ganglia neuron. For each and every spinal nerve 31 pair will be there. I have just shown one pair. I am lazy, so I have shown one pair only here. So these are all the neuronal cell bodies which are outside this brain and spinal cord, right? So they are called as ganglia. So ganglia or ganglion, singular and plural. Okay, got this? So this is the difference between a nuclei and ganglia. Okay, next, difference between a tract and a nerve. So this is important to know. Please concentrate. Collection of bundle of myelinated axons, within the CNS. Myelinated axons within CNS is tract. So obviously outside the CNS, same thing. Collection of bundle of myelinated axons outside CNS will be termed as nerve. So you can see there are so many tracts here. It's connecting my occipital lobe of the brain to the frontal lobe, occipital lobe to temporal lobe. These are the tracts. It is connecting the spinal cord to the thalamus, spinothalamic tract. So these so many names will come. On the posterior aspect of the spinal cord, posterior column tract. So all these are tracts. Whereas you can know the cranial nerve, olfactory nerve, sense of smell, auditory nerve, the vestibulocochlear nerve, sense of hearing, optic nerve, sense of vision, spinal nerves like ulnar nerve, radial nerve, brachial plexus, lumbar plexus. These nerves are collection of bundle of myelinated axon. Outside CNS is nerve. Same thing, myelinated axon within CNS we call it as tract. So what is the meaning of the relay? Some of the terms used in neurology. Relay. See, one neuron carries the information from the periphery, say for example the skin or the sense of olfaction. It carries the information. It has to relay or send this information to the subsequent neuron. That is nothing but the synapse. So synapse is the junction between two neurons and that is termed as relay. Because the information from the periphery, from the receptor, has to reach the center, that is the brain, where it is perceived. One neuron can't do all the function. If one person can do all the function, there is no requirement of the paper wala, the milk delivery guy, all these persons, the auto, cab, teacher. There is no requirement of anybody. One person only can do all the things. No, it's not possible, right? Like that, the neurons, there are so many orders of neurons which has to take information from one area to the other area. So they have to undergo synapse. That junction is called as relay, or also simply termed as synapse. Okay, there's something called a center. Just now I told the information, the sensory information or motor, it's perceived at one area where you felt the sense of touch or pressure or pain. Okay, so that area where it is interpreted that what is the stimuli, am I getting an internal stimuli of micturition or going to urinals, or getting a thirst stimuli, that is internal stimuli. External stimuli, some mosquito is biting, I'm feeling pain in my head, something like that. So all this is interpreted at the brain level, so that is called as a center where the sensory information is actually perceived. Okay, so the tract, just now I told you, bundle of myelinated axon within the CNS is called as tract. There are various types of tract: posterior column tract, spinothalamic tract, those are ascending tracts. Like that, in similar manner, there will be descending tract from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord, controlling the ventral gray of spinal cord. This is called as pyramidal tract, also called as corticospinal tract, because it controls cerebral cortex is controlling the spinal cord, right? So we call corticospinal tract. So these myelinated axon forms the white matter, whereas the cell bodies of the neuron form the gray matter. You must have heard of white matter and gray matter also. White matter is nothing but myelinated axons, gray matter is nothing but cell bodies of neuron. Okay. The other synonym of tract is fasciculus. A small bundle of nerve fiber is called as fasciculus. If it is present above, we call it as superior longitudinal fasciculus. If it is present below, we call it as inferior longitudinal fasciculus, U-shaped, uncinate fasciculars, adjoining short fiber fasciculus, corpus callosum. All these are fasciculus. That means it's nothing but a tract connecting one area of the brain to the other area of the brain. And so the tract can also be termed as fasciculus. Kindly note this, okay? Otherwise you will end up in confusion. Next, lemniscus. Another word is lemniscus. Sometimes what happens, the entire tract, if you see it once for all, it appears like a ribbon. So the tract, some of the authors also call it as a ribbon or a band. So they term it as lemniscus. There are so many lemniscus. Basically 4 in number. Medial lemniscus, that is posterior column tract, becomes medial lemniscus. The tactile localization, discrimination, stereognosis, graphesthesia, all this is pursued by posterior column tract. Okay, the spinothalamic tract is called as spinal lemniscus. Okay, spinothalamic connecting spinal cord to thalamus, it's called as spinal lemniscus. The sensation from face is carried by trigeminal lemniscus. Okay, and the sense of auditory information is carried by lateral lemniscus from the cochlear nucleus, superior olivary nucleus, and the lateral lemniscus nucleus, that is called as lateral lemniscus. The auditory information, okay, it reaches the auditory cortex. So lemniscus is nothing but synonymous with the tract. Last but not the least, bundle. Sometimes what happens, tract, lemniscus, and fasciculus will be difficult to remember. So simply, if some of the authors call it as bundle, it appears like a bundle of group of nerve fibers, right? So you just call it as bundle. Median forebrain bundle, occipito-temporal bundle, occipito-frontal bundle. You just call it as a bundle. That just means a fasciculus again. Okay, it's a simpler name for tract. That's all. Okay. So in summary, the tract is a bundle of myelinated axons connecting different part of the CNS with one another. It is within the CNS. That is the most important thing. Okay. It's also called fasciculus, which means bundle of axons, myelinated axons. It is also called lemniscus, which means it appears like a ribbon. There can be two types of tract: ascending tracts and descending tracts. Ascending tracts carry the sensory information towards the CNS. Descending tract carries the information from the CNS to the spinal cord and then ultimately to the periphery. It's also simply called as bundle, connecting different parts of the CNS with respect to one another. So nuclei, in summary, is a collection of neuronal cell body deep within the CNS. It's called as nuclei. Collection of the neuronal cell body like this outside the CNS is called as ganglia. There can be spinal ganglia if they are in spinal nerves. There can be cranial ganglia, sympathetic ganglia, parasympathetic ganglia. Then bundle of myelinated axons outside CNS carrying information from the receptors. Myelinated axon outside CNS is called as nerve. The same bundle of myelinated axon within CNS is called as tract, fasciculus, lemniscus, or bundle. I hope you got this and you like this video. Share this video with your family and friends and subscribe to my channel if you are not already done. I think you have learned from this. Kindly comment any of your doubts and subscribe and press the bell button to get the latest notification. Don't forget to like this video. Okay, thank you once again.